Hey friends, my name is Steve Guttenberg and I am the Audiophiliac. I'm excited because today it's about Mytek, specifically the Mytek Brooklyn power amplifier. It looks a hell of a lot like this. And it's small, it's light, it's easy to hold in your hand. If you choose to walk around with one, it'll be very easy. You could walk around with two. If you're into bridging and lots of power, two of these puppies will get you 600 watts. Nice, but in stereo, which is the way I used it, it is 250 watts a channel for 8 ohm loads, and it's 300 watts for 4 ohms, and 400 watts for 2 ohm loads. The price, there you go, let's get to the nitty gritty, is $2,495 each. It is made in the USA. It may be the first Mytek product to be made in the US. They're all designed here in Brooklyn, my hometown, but they're usually made in Poland. This one, the amp, made in the USA. I don't know if it's made in Brooklyn, but it says it's made in the USA. It's small, it's light, it must be Class D, and in fact, it is a Class D amplifier. Now, okay, I'm not the biggest fan of Class D, but not because they sound bad, but because they sound meh. It's okay. They're okay, but they don't get my juices flowing. This one absolutely, positively does. Now, the specs and all the details and stuff will be listed below in the description box, and also for the DAC/preamp I used with the Brooklyn amp is this puppy here. This is a Mytek Liberty, and Mytek Liberty is $995. It's the baby brother to the Mytek Brooklyn DAC Plus, but it's a lot cheaper than the Brooklyn DAC Plus. That one is $2,200. I'm not reviewing that one today. I'm reviewing this puppy. This guy is $995, so less than half the price. Now, okay, so one of the reasons it's half the price is because there's a lot less, let's say, connectivity, those kind of puppies back there. But it's got MQA, for those who still care, and it certainly does PCM and DSD in very high resolution numbers, which are, again, listed in that description box below. And I will tell you up front, I did compare it to the Brooklyn DAC. Now, I have an original Brooklyn DAC, not the Plus. And I would say the Liberty and the Brooklyn DAC they're comparable to each other. I wouldn't put that the Brooklyn DAC is a lot better or even that different. They're just slightly different. And I don't know, I was perfectly happy listening to the Liberty. I had no desire to switch over to the Brooklyn DAC to feel like I'm, upgrading in sound or anything. That did not happen. But as I say, the thing about the amp, this is primarily a review of the amp, is that it was fun. I really, really enjoyed listening to it. And I listened to it with a lot of different speakers. I guess the main speaker I used was the Klipsch Forte 3. But I also used the KEF Q550, the KEF LS50, the Dolly Oberon 3. Anything else? Yeah, I think there were some other speakers in there along the way. But you know what? It's funny that the Forte 3 is a very high sensitivity speaker. You don't need a lot of power to get it going. But even so, it does respond well to power. So I was playing it loud as I could ever want to listen to, and I definitely felt that the Brooklyn amp was just coasting through it all as you'd expect. But it had killer dynamics, and the sound stage was fantastic. I was listening to this this Daniel Lanois recording. He's a guitarist, but he's basically known better as a producer, and it's called Belladonna, this recording. And it had this very kind of front-rear depth to its spaciousness, really, really well. And the Brooklyn amp was just killing it there. It was really coming through big time. Then there's this other one, while I was into Daniel Lanois, I played another Daniel Lanois called Rockets. And that recording has a lot of oomph kind of bass. And again, The amp was making me feel the motion. I was moved by the amplifier, and I was moved by the sound. So it has that kind of impact that I want. But now if I compare it to, let's say, the Past Labs XA25, a Class A 25 watt per channel amp, again with the Forte 3s, I would say, well, first I would say definitely that the XA25 sounded better overall, in that it had more body, more harmonic richness to the sound. The bass was no slouch. It had more blood and guts to the sound. It had more dimensionality. And switching over to the Brooklyn amp after the XA25, everything felt smaller, flatter, less there, less layer. There was less there with the Brooklyn amp. But the Brooklyn amp is basically half the price of the XA25. So just putting things in proportion here. So when I was listening to this combination of the Liberty DAC with the Brooklyn amp, I was playing high resolution stuff from Chesky sessions that I attended. And one of my favorites not so long ago was a woman, Amber Rubarth's Scribbled Symphonies sessions. And those were done at a church in Brooklyn. And there's a lot of space in this recording. There's no compression, dynamic range compression. It's high res, it's 192.24. And there's no EQ, no processing. It's just people playing acoustic instruments in a church. Amber on vocals and guitar, but there are some string instruments. It's just lush, big, and you hear the church, or I certainly did, with this combination of the Liberty and the Brooklyn amp. I was transported, and you know, that's what I want. That's what I want with a great recording. Now, sadly, most high-res recordings that are made by artists you know and love, well, those are just the same recordings that are compressed and EQ'd and screwed around with and processed and stuff. So the fact that they're in high-res, it's not really communicating what high-res can do. Because high-res, to me, my definition of what high-res, the strength of high-res recording, is hearing the quieter parts of the sound. That's where the depth and the space and the ambience of where the session took place. That's where it is. It's in the details. It's in the details, pal. And with this combination, the Liberty and the Brooklyn amp, I was getting there big time. And again, what more can I ask from playing a hi-fi at home is to take me into the session. And the Liberty Brooklyn amp combo did that extremely well, as again with the various speakers that I mentioned. Now I also used the Liberty as a headphone amp. I mean, it's so tiny. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot. For some reason, I don't really know why, the Liberty does not come with a remote control. So as a desktop amplifier, we just reach over and turn the knob. Yeah, that works. But as a main system preamp / DAC, I don't mind getting up to change the volume or input, but you do. And if that's an issue for you, then maybe the Liberty's not going to be the right DAC for you. I don't have a problem with it. But what I want to talk about now is how the Liberty performed as a headphone amplifier, as a DAC / headphone amplifier, with these same high-resolution files from Amber Rubarth's recording session. And I used two headphones for this part. I used Sony MDR Z1R headphones, and I used my old faithful Grado RS1 headphones. Two very, very different headphones. And both of them were well played by the Liberty. I mean, in other words, I'm not saying this is just a DAC that happens to have a headphone jack on it and it's there and it sounds okay. No, it was really doing well. I mean, the Sony MDR Z1R is a killer headphone. And it's one of those, I own a lot of headphones, and I don't give enough praise to that headphone in how extraordinary it is but it's extraordinary by being subtle. It's not the kind of headphone that hits you over the head like, look at me, look at all that detail. No, no, no. It's way more down than that. It's just, the music is just there. It's not making a fuss about it. And the Liberty as a headphone amplifier really, really nailed that. I was very impressed. Now the Grados, which are open headphones, and the Z1R is not. The Grados had that huge open up, way out of my head kind of sound stage, just stunning, just gorgeous, and that sense of being there. That's what I want. With a recording that has that being there quality, yes, the Liberty and a really good headphone can take you there. So I did take some time to compare the Brooklyn Amp against another Class D amplifier that's been one of my standard go-to references for Class D, and it's a Bel Canto Ref 500S, also 250 watt per channel Class D stereo amplifier. And it's not the current model. It's got to be now about 5 years old, but it's a hell of an amp. But I got to say that it sounded constrained compared to the Brooklyn Amp. The Brooklyn Amp just kind of opened up more. When I switched over to the Bel Canto, it shut down. It felt smaller. That sense of being there with the Amber Rubarth record, of being in that space in that church in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, less so over the Bel Canto, more so over the Brooklyn Amp. Not all Class D amplifiers sound the same, so that's for sure. As all amplifiers sound different, but the Bel Canto, it's good, but I gotta say the Brooklyn Amp just, well, clobbered it. Yeah, pretty much, because there was nothing that the Bel Canto did better. So in that sense, it was a hands-down win for the Brooklyn Amp. So there you have it. I mean, the thing that's fantastic about these Mytek products, other than what I just stated, is they are so small. So if you're looking to reduce clutter in your system, just bring it down, but have really high performance with a wide range of speakers, types, and you're a headphone person, the Mytek Liberty and the Mytek Brooklyn Amp, that's a sweet combination. That is really sweet. And you're into power, because if you need power, the Brooklyn Amp can definitely deliver gobs and gobs of power. I think my work here is done. My name is Steve Guttenberg, and I am the Audiophiliac. This is the Audiophiliac Daily Show, and I'm your host. Please come back often. Check out the playlists, and I've changed the way I've organized the playlist slightly, because where before I put all of my interviews and Audiophiliac of the Day episodes together in one playlist, now I'm starting to separate them. When I interview people like Nelson Pass or John DeVore or John Grado, Matt Weisfeld, those are going to be in a separate category called interviews. Catchy title, right? So that makes them easier to find. So you should check those out. I'm really proud of the interviews. They're getting better and better. My skills as an interviewer on video are getting better. I've interviewed people for 20-something years, but doing video interviews is a different skill set, which I'm still feeling my way. But the Nelson Pass ones are like, whew, I'm so proud of those. But anyway, so if you dig these things I do, please subscribe to this YouTube channel right now. And when you do it, hit that little notification bell so you'll be notified every time there's a new episode. And then you could also give me thumbs up for episodes that you like, thumbs down for episodes you don't like. You can follow me on Twitter at AudiophiliacMan. And if you've gotten this far, yes, check out the Patreon at patreon.com/audiophiliac. Thanks so much for watching.